PC Perspective's coverage of the 2014 Consumer Electronics Show is brought to you by AMD and the next generation A-Series APU. Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective podcast. This is the sign-off episode from CES. This is like where we do all of our, we recollect about the week that has gone by.
Yep.
We talk about all the good memories that were made.
No.
And I think at the end there's like a sad saxophone thing, and then the crowd goes, "Oh!" We all group hug.
Oh, sad.
No, I thought it was. Dun, 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 dun. Whoa.
Okay, well that's a trombone and not a saxophone, which is clearly what I said.
Well, it's still brass.
All right. So it's our fourth full day of coverage at CES 2014 in Las Vegas, and we saw some stuff today, and we're going to talk about it with you. So I think we talk last night about the AMD
a little
FreeSync G-Sync stuff.
Wait, no,
Yes.
yeah, we talked about it in depth.
We talked about it. I just hadn't actually written it up yet.
Yeah.
So if you had not read that yet, you should go to PCPer.com. There's a story titled AMD Variable Refresh FreeSync could be alternative to NVIDIA G-Sync. And if you missed anything in the podcast last night, you should listen to it. No, wait, hold on. You should listen to that podcast, but then you should also read the article because it has a little bit more detail and it's probably a little bit more clear than the ramblings of yesterday on the podcast. So that remains the same as far as I know. Nothing changed. If I hear anything else tonight, I will just let you know in a text update. How's that sound, guys? Oh, hold on just a second. My phone, it doth ring, and it's a friend, and he has to wait. Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah, well,
It shows how the podcast rates.
dedicated to the podcast.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we saw. The first thing up is Alan went to Kingston.
That was first?
So up first is Alan went to Kingston.
He did?
Up first is Alan went to Kingston.
Alan is opening his pictures from Kingston. All right. So let's see. Kingston, the big stuff was, well, the huge stuff, I should say, potentially huge.
All right.
Was
all right.
the Predator, which is a
Sounds cool.
Is a PCI Express solid-state drive using a SandForce 3700
Okay.
controller.
That's a
which
controller.
we have
Gotcha.
not mentioned before. So the controller is able to do a 1.8 gigabytes per second over PCI Express, and it is a native PCIe solid-state drive controller.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty speedy. So that's basically a little bit more than twice what's like in your MacBook Pro there.
Yeah.
Right? So it's using double the lanes, and looks to be pretty speedy. They wouldn't let us look at any other type of benchmark on the machine because of some agreement with SandForce. Because apparently this thing's not done yet as far as the controller. So Kingston's ready to go. They have a PCB ready to go. It's just a matter of the controller, like the firmware for the controller is not ready to go, unfortunately, until halfway through the year, supposedly.
Okay.
Which is kind of sad because I'd really like that to be shipping right now, but
We haven't seen a new PCI SSD in a little while.
we hadn't. Plexter launched one.
Yeah. Do you have
This
anything
morning.
else from Kingston before we move on to Plexter?
As far as big stuff, there was a gaming headset that I think was recently launched, which
okay.
I know I don't normally cover gaming headsets, but once I put that on my head and realized how comfortable it was,
Howard goes up.
it was, yeah, it's kind of like...
It's got a mic arm like yours.
Well, it's just a
Like
gaming
those.
headset, but like they did some nice touches to it. It's really lightweight. It's, you know, it's the headband's leather, like real leather. The the padding on the ear, whatever you want to call those things,
The cups?
ear cups, is memory foam.
Okay. How good a memory is it? Like, do you think?
Like you basically just, it doesn't feel like you're wearing a headset.
All right.
That's
all
the
right.
best way I can describe it.
Hey, can I? Yeah. Okay.
You know, seemed pretty comfortable and like really.
It's hard to tell in 30 seconds, but yeah, I know. I see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
But like, you know, and memory foam is like really dense, so it almost was like sound isolating
Okay.
kind of an effect, right?
Yeah.
But they're not sound isolating. They're not
Yeah,
meant
yeah.
to
They're
be.
not active sound cancellation. or
Nothing active like that.
Gotcha.
They're gonna have this memory called Fury, which is gonna replace like the low end memory
Are you going
that
to
they
get so
produce.
mad at it you'll throw it against the wall?
I don't
in
know.
fury?
They're making it in 4 different colors, whereas the previous stuff I think was like 2
You know,
different
the
colors.
Apple iPhone comes in 5 colors. What's wrong with Kingston?
I don't know. This is black and white, so they got the Apple thing going, and then blue and red,
How about black and yellow? Black and yellow.
black and yellow.
No, that's MSI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they showed a demo of a rack mount system running 384 gigabytes of DDR4 memory at 2133.
That's a lot of dims.
Yeah.
How many DIMMs?
There's 64 gig per DIMM.
So do the math.
It's a lot of DIMMs.
Count them. 12?
And actually, it was running.
6?
It was running in 3 DIMMs per channel mode or whatever. Basically, it was running in multi-channel
Okay.
mode,
All
which
right.
is also like to go that fast and be multi-channel and have that much of it all at the same time. That's kind of an accomplishment. And I believe there were Hynix memory chips on their DIMMs, as opposed to the Micron stuff that we talked about.
Probably not considering
Yesterday.
Micron only showed 4 dims.
Yeah, I don't think Micron is going to have like that many of them going, but yeah, there was a lot of DIMMs going.
A lot of
at the same
DIMMs. All right. And?
time. Let's see. They're going to make a 1 terabyte solid state drive
Okay.
coming,
Well,
of
that's
course.
connected to a NUC.
And then, well, it's the other variant of a NUC, and they're also going to have 480 gigabyte MSATA, even though MSATA is kind of about to start being not a thing anymore, I would imagine. with all
Well,
the
it's going to take
M.2.
a little while for that. We just saw a lot of notebooks and stuff announced at the show that use MSATA.
They were still MSATA.
Oh, yeah.
I got a look at. There'll be pictures of this guy in a post and everything, but got a look at the actual controller, the SandForce.
That says LSI.
Well, yes, it says LSI because it's LSI SandForce now.
Of course it is. That's a good name.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they had their, gaming need for seat, gaming seat kind of.
Is it actually like a thing they sell?
I believe so.
Huh.
It appeared to be, and they have different style like
So fast
seats.
for gaming.
I don't know. It was kind of like there's different styles of them, and the padding is set up in different ways on each different style. And so out of the 3 that I sat in, like only one of them really felt comfortable to me. So I don't know how that's going to work out with.
Oh no, it does actually have Need for Seat printed on.
Yeah, it's actually that's the brand, Need for Seat. But my concern is that you can't really you probably order this online, right? Like there's not Kingston retail stores.
Correct. Yeah,
So
yeah.
how are you going to know if it's the one that you like without being able to sit in it? It's kind of
Yeah.
I don't know, because they were significantly different. Like it wasn't like it just looks different and it feels the same. It was significant, like night and day difference between 3 different seats as far as how they felt.
All right.
I don't know, but those were the big-ins, and then they had they had a drive like that drive that you were talking about yesterday, Ryan, with the micro
The Corsair
or the micro
Voyager
USB. Yeah, the Voyager Go. We had a micro USB on one side and USB on the other. Kingston's is smaller.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a prototypey thing. They're not launching it right this second. but
Gotcha.
They just had something for us to look at and take a picture of.
Ooh, picture.
Yeah, that was pretty much it for those guys.
All right. And then you said, we'll go ahead and talk about Plexter. You said that they had a PCIe SSD as well.
Yes. So then I went straight over to Plexter, and Plexter has a PCIe SSD that is basically just a simple PCI Express card with an M.2 SSD on it.
Any performance implications?
Well, this guy only goes like 700 or 800 meg per second
Boring.
because it is the older, slightly older. It's actually the thing that's in Ken's MacBook Air. It's
The Marvell
It's the
controller.
Marvell M.2 plugged into just a card, and you can literally look in the picture, and the traces just goes directly to the PCI
So why
Express
does that
port.
go slower? Are there less PCIe lanes on the Marvell than the SandForce next generation SandForce controller?
Yes.
Is that part of it?
Yeah, the SandForce is using twice the lanes, or it's going twice the bandwidth per lane. I'm not sure
So
which
it's by
the
4
difference
and
is.
by 8.
I believe so. And since this is using Marvell, which is out, then this is available now. They launched it today, and it's available.
It really just looks like that.
That's it. It's just the M.2 plugged
They
into.
should have put like a
card.
shroud over it or something, because that looks really
No.
cheesy.
Well, I mean, okay. So now here's what's
agree.
funny. Kingston had this snazzy looking heatsink and everything on their, their implementation. But I hate to say it, they kind of need that because it's SandForce, and it's kind of runs hot and stuff like that. Whereas that M.2 drive from Marvell is meant to just operate without a heatsink. So you can get away with just having it sitting on a PCB. Like
Yeah,
that.
no.
It doesn't look like that great, but it's okay, fine. It's
functional.
It's got 3 LEDs.
It's got LEDs in the back that show you like drive access.
Good.
and stuff.
LEDs in the back. That's great. It's perfect. What I need is LEDs that face my wall.
Yes, of 3 different colors. So it's
glow.
it's like a traffic light effect.
Nice.
But so that's available now, which is going to kind of put them ahead of everybody else that's waiting on the SandForce 3700, which is not going to be available until like the middle of the year or the second half of the year.
All right.
So it seems kind of upsetting for the other guys, I guess. That granted, this drive goes slower from Plexter, but everybody else is they will go fast. But if they're not on the market, they're not really going faster than anything.
Okay.
Is
that it from them?
They had, let's see, they were showing some other stuff like,
Hey, that's a Nook again.
Yeah, they had a Nook with showing that they make MSATA products as well, which they do. And,
Yeah. All right. Great.
And
sure.
light on the kind of enterprisey side of Plexter is how
Really?
that works now.
Huh.
Apparently.
Huh.
But they have.
Who will sell me my optical drives now?
I don't know. I
EVGA.
saw not.
I don't know.
I saw no optical anything there.
Well, that makes me happy.
But Light On also has some other like SSDs that are meant more for cars.
PATA.
Yeah, that was parallel ATA on an SSD that is shipping now. But what they're going for there is like embedded kind of stuff and things where,
Yeah.
Actually, thinking back, even Kingston had a couple of models that were really small capacity and that kind of stuff where they're like, it's not a launch, but we also make these things because there's old embedded stuff that, they were previously using like compact flash to SATA adapters, and now they'll just use
That seems fun.
I don't know. Something like that.
All right.
But yeah, the big deal from Plexter was that
Was
PCIe
another
product.
PCIe SSD.
Yep.
Josh and I and Ken. Josh and me and Ken. Josh and Ken and I.
So, okay, want to learn this rule?
Yeah.
If you don't say Josh and Ken, then it should be.
So really, I just said Josh and I first, which is correct.
Yeah.
And then I added you in because I didn't want you to feel left out.
Yeah.
So it's not a grammar issue. I was just trying to be politically
You've been having
correct.
that issue lately.
No, me talk fine. Thank you. We met with Qualcomm first, and there was we didn't see anything like brand new. The big push for Qualcomm at this show was actually automotive.
Did you just say Big Bush?
Push.
Push.
They didn't have a big bush either, but their big push
Bring me a
was
shrubbery.
was automotive again, right? So most of their they didn't announce any new processors like for high-end smartphones or tablets. We had a really good conversation with them about how we're going to work with them moving forward, and that's all stuff behind the scenes things. But we're going to have a lot of coverage of what they're doing in the not too distant future. But their big push was on the automotive side. There were way too many cars in their booth, crowding up my walking space, I guess.
Along with people with the drag-along bags.
Yeah,
who would
today-
just stop in the middle of the walkway and just look at the sky.
Today was a bad day for
was
people
really
to
bad.
walk in front of us. So we met with Qualcomm, then we met with ARM, and again, that was not really like a product meeting. It was more of a discussion of where we stand on testing and performance evaluation in a lot of different areas. That went well. We met with Synaptics, and we actually did see some new stuff at Synaptics. A couple of them were actually pretty cool. So some of them, like the ClickPad 2, is actually already available on an HP machine,
Spectre
Spectre
MV
14 something.
Yeah.
I guess
The one with the big trackpad.
it has a giant trackpad. We talked about it on the podcast another instance, and we'll have a video up that includes it later tonight. And it has like two different textures on it on either side of the leftmost side of this long trackpad and the rightmost side of this long trackpad have a different texture, and they're kind of used almost exclusively for like the charms and the application switching in Windows 8. It has what do they call the trackpad that click down evenly throughout everything?
Uniform actuation.
That
something
sounds
like
good.
that.
Uniform actuation, where you could touch it in the middle or in any of the four corners or anywhere else on the touchpad, and it would have the same mechanical feeling as it would in any other location, which is cool because if you don't want to have to use the buttons, then you want to be able to click, and it should feel the same either way, any place you go. The more interesting thing that I saw was Thin Touch, which was like a development thing they were developing, and they basically they took the keys of a keyboard and they removed all the mechanical parts. They removed the switches, or they removed the
scissor part of it. You're fine. You just tend to not look away from the microphone.
They've used they removed the scissor part, and then they have a whole bunch of empty space. And what that allowed them to do is actually put capacitive touch underneath every single key on the keyboard, and they could demonstrate unique attributes like you could swipe the backspace key to delete the last word in a document. You could they showed it with the space bar where you could swipe to the left and it would highlight the last word, so you could correct or auto-correct or retype.
Swipe 3 keys to the left and you do the charms.
Yeah, so you swipe a couple times on the space bar and you could go back as far as you wanted. But then I thought was interesting was if you so every single key was individually capacitive. If you swiped your hand across the keyboard and you hit at least 3 keys, it didn't even have to matter which 3 it was, as long as you hit 3 keys in a row, it would bring up the charms bar. If you did it from the left, it would do the application context switching. And that was actually really cool. It's like, one of the things I don't believe in is touchscreen on a laptop still. It doesn't seem intuitive to me for a lot of ways. It's just, if you're typing and you're trying to be productive to stop and reach up and do something, there's some inherent disconnect there. But if you're typing and you go like that to switch,
it's a very natural.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right. And they also had the feature like if you hold down the control key and then you hold down the control, you actually depress it, and then you just rub your finger across like the C key or the V key. It would actually give you a overlay and say, well, copy, paste, save. So like you could preview what the shortcuts were before you actually press them. Which I thought was, that's actually a neat kind of function. And this is not a shipping product or anything yet, but they're like, here's the stuff that we can do with this touch type thing, right? I think it was magnets. They were using magnetic ramps for it.
How do they work?
I don't know. Magnets. How do they work? I don't know. And then, so they definitely felt different than other keyboards I had used, and I didn't type on it long enough to know if it was, really negative or very positive. But they also showcased that because the throw, the amount of distance that the keys
depression,
move, the amount of distance that they depress when you actually hit them is very, very minimal, and you're allowed now that they're magnetic and they're not mechanical or rubber domes or something, you can move them around. So, for example, if you had a clamshell device, if you closed it, the keys could retract into the keyboard frame of the laptop, and then when you opened it, they would expand back out, and that allows them to get a lower or a thinner machine when it's closed. And also, he pointed that out, and I totally never even thought about it, but like the impressions of the keys on your screen, which is just weird. And they also said, like, say you take a design like the Lenovo Yoga, that when you flip it all the way around, well, now when you flip it all the way around, they can have it so that the keys are mechanically, depressed into it. So you don't have to worry about the keys touching anything on the bottom. You don't have to worry about your fingers, activating them. There was some cool stuff like that, and they showed like a tablet dock where, when it was closed, the keys were depressed, and if you just flipped it up a little bit, the keys raised, and it allows them to make slightly thinner devices. So they had some cool stuff there, and then they had the force pad. We'll have that in the video, which you can do things like it doesn't actually have a physical click. It was like a virtual. It's like they actually had like the sound effect of a click on there, which I was like I get some of it. It's like how some people don't like electric cars because they don't make any noise. Just something you've been used to your entire life.
You can't be run over by a trackpad.
I don't know. You could try. And then they had like the scrolling capability. If you use like 2-finger scroll, you could stop and then like apply more force to the force pad, as you might guess, and it would scroll faster. You could ease up and it would slow down, and it was fairly responsive, and it wasn't tricky. I did it on the first attempt, so that was neat. And then we went to go see Intel. Some of us went to go see Intel.
I went to see Intel. And
I was there.
And I'm biosed AMD.
I saw Intel.
I'm so biosed.
You did see Intel.
Dan Snyder himself came down and got me.
Yeah, and then we were done.
Did you text him or something? Say, hey Dan, come get me.
I was whispering sweet nothings into his
so we met with Intel and we talked about the new Nooks, which I guess I have one sitting over there, but the camera's not really close enough to show it. They announced 3 new Nook SKUs for at CES. All three are now slightly taller on the Z height. They instead of being really kind of thin, they're a little bit thicker. And what they have done with that space is they have added in the capability to include a 2.5-inch hard drive, as well as the mSATA SSD and the PCIe wireless controller. So everything else on the inside is very much the same. It's taller, and you can now get a 2.5-inch drive in there. It's using Haswell up to HD 5000 graphics, so no Iris Pro in their iterations. And then they also have a Bay Trail model that they announced that uses the Atom Bay Trail based processors. Still has mSATA and 2.5-inch hard drive support, which is cool. Like, they said that they had complaints or concerns from consumers about, I really like the form factor, but I don't like not being able to store a lot of my media on the little computer, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got an mSATA SSD, they're a little bit more, they're more expensive, so you only go 128. That kind of limits you. But if you can add a 2.5-inch 1 terabyte hard drive, then now you can store all your sweet pirated movies and stuff.
Sweet. I mean,
like that.
I would never do that.
I guess that was all we saw there that we could talk about. Yeah.
No Thunderbolt.
No Thunderbolt on these Nooks. And they said they were pretty upfront about it. They said that the truth is that the first Nook that had Thunderbolt didn't sell very well.
It's mainly because they thought that they had removed the LAN port and just relied on wireless, but a lot of people really like having the RJ45 plug.
Yeah.
So, had to make way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was Intel. We went to see EVGA at the Bellagio. They announced a mouse of all things.
Yes.
It's a laser mouse up to 8,000 DPI, and they have a carbon fiber model.
Real
More
carbon
expensive,
fiber.
but it's
Real carbon fiber.
Not just
Ooh.
sticker carbon fiber.
I'll
No,
be buying a mouse.
It's real carbon fiber. It's pretty cool looking. It's functionally identical to the non-carbon fiber, except that this one has carbon fiber.
But it's lighter.
It goes so much faster.
yes, it's very. It's
Minimally.
just a little bit, tiny bit lighter.
Yeah, because it's only a mouse.
It's only a mouse, but they
I
have.
can own something made of carbon fiber.
That's true.
They have a cable made of silver.
They have a cable that has silver instead of copper.
Oh, that's a gimmick.
Well, it's slightly lighter, and it has
More
slightly
flexible, they
better.
say.
Oh, this is the carbon fiber mouse?
Mm-hmm.
Has a different cable than the regular mouse?
No.
No,
Yeah, I think all of them
both
do.
of them. Both
Have
of
the
them
silver.
do. Yeah.
So lighter than copper, slightly better electrical performance.
But
So they
it's
can make it thinner.
Light as a feather, stiff
And
as a
lighter.
board. Light as a feather.
You can
stiff
make
as
it
a
thinner,
board.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how that goes?
Something like that.
Yeah. What else did they have? They showed off a couple of new power supplies that Lee will be reviewing. We saw the Kingpin version of the EVGA GTX 780 Ti classified.
That was a big card.
Giant graphics card, and it had a clear acrylic
Big as my
top.
head.
Yeah, pretty big.
Has some
big.
like 16 power phases.
14. It had
something?
14 power phases, I think.
No, 15. It was like
No.
3 for the memory and then. Or
pretty
2
sure
for
it
the
was
memory.
14.
Okay, 2 for the memory, 12 for the GPU.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot. But
Oh, and
essentially
an
the same
8, an
core.
8, and a 6 power plug on the top.
An 886.
Yes.
Yeah, so 2 8s and a 6.
And you need all of
and
them.
you have to use all of them.
Yes.
Apparently.
Might as well just have a second ATX connector up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not spec.
Yeah, I know. Just saying.
That'd be funny. And also, no power supplies have those. That was what EVGA was doing. They said that. Oh, they also had the what's that case called? The Hadron
Hydro. It's
which is
very
a
difficult to say.
taller version of the Hadron Air mini ITX case that supports water cooling. It will support self-contained water cooling, but only a 120 millimeter radiator. Whereas if you go with the full custom, you can get like all kinds of water cooling there. I think it's 240.
Only a 120 single fan too.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you still have some limited space even in the hydro version of it. And they said that, it will definitely be a lower volume part. Installing all of the water cooling stuff is difficult. Like if you're doing a custom water loop inside that tiny case, it's going to take some work. Like you're going to have to be careful with things and move it around. He said they probably will have a lot of sales going to like system builders that will do this multiple times and not have to do it just once and learn it for that purpose. So that was what EVGA had. What'd you see at Thinkers. Pick up the microphone. There we go.
Thekus had some NASA's.
NASA.
Nas-
NASA's.
No. Yeah. NASA's. NAS. Anyway. They had some, well, their new models they were launching were more kind of enterprisey models, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a rack mount, like a 2U rack mount, 8 drive model. And they had a stand-up 7 drive model. That actually looks kind of snazzy. Like you don't usually see a 7 drive vertical
Yeah.
stacked like
Yeah.
model like that. But those two are going to be, they're kind of pricey because they're enterprise units, unfortunately. But they did have some other. They had some other stuff there. They had, the typical thing that we've been seeing from everybody else at CES so far. They have like a device that acts like a NAS, but also has Xbox Media Center on it.
They've been doing that for years.
Yeah, but they've been doing that
Yeah.
for and then there's a really low power Intel driven kind of unit that's a 2-bay unit, but they were. I think the bare unit was like 150.
That seems rough.
For a 2-bay NAS.
Seems rough.
That's low cost. I mean, that's pretty,
Is it?
That's pretty down there for.
I don't buy NASA's apparently.
No, NASA's are generally kind of on the pricey side. At least pricier than that. And then they had another 5-bay unit that I think they've had around for a while. I think that was the 5550 model.
Yeah.
So yeah, the newer stuff was the enterprisey stuff I just mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Oh, and the enterprise stuff is supposed to be equipped with 10 gigabit base T, not fiber. In other words, the lower cost 10 gigabit.
Sure.
The one that uses RJ45.
Yeah.
That's
Cat
fine
six.
though, right? Right. I mean, that's
Yeah,
okay.
as long as you're going short distances, you're fine. So if you're within, within one rack, basically,
Oh.
it's like 40 or 50 feet, I think. Unless you want
okay.
to do the really thick, crazy thick Cat 6.
E.
No, the other kind.
7.
No, it's 6. Anyway,
6, 7.
It appears they also had.
they had Snickers and pens,
Why didn't you bring me a Snicker?
and they had teddy bears.
Yeah, where's the Snickers about?
I ate them all.
No.
You son of a...
Sorry.
You said that you didn't actually eat anything when we last saw you.
I actually didn't eat any of those Snickers.
You are the
You're a
worst.
liar.
Okay, Power Color. We went to see Power Color. They had one new thing to show us. It was the PCS Plus cooler version of the R9
Yeah.
What did they say about it?
It's a big cooler. It's not Asus big, like 3, but it's pretty close because it's
takes up
2.5.
3 slots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can really put in a half a slot in that
They
other
should
one.
start designing cases like that.
That would be a good idea.
Well, there's no slots. It's just open space.
Or they could just divide the things in half.
Sure.
Because a lot of graphics cards are shipping like that.
Yeah, and then we'll do like 2 little slots per half slot,
Then you could do like a half slot SSD.
Yeah. Why don't we do that?
All right, go ahead.
Anyway, this
Hire
thing's a triple cooler, triple fan cooler. It's got 2 main cooling areas, 5 heat pipes. It's a decent design. It's a little bit bigger than expected, not like as skinny as like EVGA's ACX or MSI's, Lightning type or Twin Frozer series.
Yep.
Or Asus's new Direct CU2 units. But it still looks pretty nice. And yeah, it's on the R9 290X. They're promising that it will be significantly cooler than the reference design, we would hope at least. We have yet to find out how much cooler it
Yeah,
is.
they didn't really even have like an estimate for us on what it was.
Yeah, they had just gotten
Great.
cards in and haven't really been able to see finally what they do and tell us. It's coming in at kind of a higher price, $679.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah, but with the Bitcoin miners, you
Litecoin.
may
Whatever.
Litecoin, yeah, Bitcoin is all ASIC, but Litecoin, Dogecoin, Coinye, what?
Doge.
Oh,
Doge.
that was loud.
Sorry.
No, it was interference.
Oh. But anyway, those things probably
that
going to
out.
be bought up because I don't think I don't get the impression Power Color is a large volume manufacturer for the U.S. market.
Probably not.
I don't really know. That's one thing with AMD's partners. I don't really have a sense of who is big in what regions. Like in the U.S., we have a really good idea,
Yeah.
right? For NVIDIA. But, you've got XFX, Power Color, Sapphire, HIS. And then you've got like Asus MSI.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that aren't dedicated graphics guys. It's tough for me to say. I don't know. But that price seems high.
Yeah. They also showed us their previous one, their liquid cooling.
LCS.
Yes, and that has what, the EK water block?
Yeah.
EK?
Yeah.
That thing weighed like a metric ton.
It's awesome,
I would be
though.
curious how that hangs in your case, and if you want to ship that anywhere.
It's almost it's kind of like you might need a like one of those retention brackets. or something like that.
some
Hopefully,
duct tape.
Maybe they ship it with one. Maybe they're smart and they ship it with one.
Yeah,
or
or
something.
maybe it's just stiff enough with that whole block going the entire length.
Yeah, but when it gets heavy, you worry about where the PCB meets the motherboard.
Yeah.
Right, and if that's kind of risky, and that's why some people will have brackets that go to the front panel.
Yep.
Connection, like where the display connections are, in order to give it some more strength throughout the thing. I don't know.
And that puppy it's available now, and it's for $7.99.
Yeah.
Yeah, pricey, but it's a pretty high quality water block. As I threw it at Ken's head, and it only caused a small laceration.
I have a minor concussion right now.
Okay. And then we threw it out the window.
You guys should stop hurting each other. My insurance rates are going to go up.
Right.
So that was Power Color. It is $779 on Newegg. Yeah, for that.
Ooh,
LCX.
BF4.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Do we see anybody? I think it was our last meeting of the day, wasn't it? It was. We did see Origin. We want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. that was
So Origin
interesting stuff.
Systems, who is powering this laptop that we're using right now, had a new system. What the hell was it called? Millennium and Genesis.
Well, those are their old names for mid tower and full tower. I'm right.
You mean the brand?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So they had a new case design that they had dubbed Prime. And this case design is actually pretty cool in that it allows you to mount it in a standard fashion, like standard ATX case. You can rotate it 90 degrees.
You can.
Or you can rotate it 180 degrees.
You can invert it.
Well,
So-
you can rotate it 180 degrees.
Why would you
and
want your
then
video
invert
cards?
it. But you could do it.
You could if you
So
wanted.
the bottom of the video cards are actually facing up.
Alan's case is like that.
So you're saying right side window case?
You could do that as well. So hold on. There's two things it can do. You can have standard ATX where it's normal.
Yeah.
You can rotate it 90 so that the card exhaust is up.
Yeah.
You can rotate it 180 where the card exhaust is towards the front.
No.
Yeah.
Because how do you get the
you can't
cables?
card
Then you-
exhaust
because then you
towards the
flip it
front.
around the other way.
Yeah, there's 4 ways you can do it.
Oh, okay, you're right. And then you have to invert it to the window's on the other side.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
And then it'll be the cards are more like in the BTX standard.
Yep.
Sure.
And then 90 degrees that way. So it can be left, right, up, down, sort of. Come on, think with your mind. 3D.
That's
3D.
Then Ken was saying something awesome about the storage capacity.
Yeah, so that's like the what do they call it? Mid tower
Center
case
section?
version of it, right? And then they also have this pedestal option that adds to it, makes it a full tower case specification. But at the bottom of it, you have the option to include, you can put like 2 360 millimeter radiators down there, so you can like get some serious ass water cooling in that system.
Serious.
Or it has 12 hard
3.5
drive
inch
bays. Yeah, 12 3.5 inch
3.5.
bays, and they can support 12 3.5 inch hard drives or up to 34 2.5 inch hard drives.
And when can I buy this?
You can buy it from Origin Systems
Now.
today.
With an entire computer built in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so I won't ever be buying it then.
Yeah, if you build your own, you're not going to buy this.
Or you
Yeah.
could just, get a lot of really cheap parts in there.
Yeah,
and
get the least expensive version and rip all the parts out.
Yeah.
So this seems like an awesome case that would be an awesome case for a system builder, like
Yep.
a person who
Yeah.
is building their own system,
So
but they're not
you're
selling
right.
it.
Well, that's because they're a system integrator. Like that's
No,
what they
I
do.
get it. I get it.
This happened with HP when they did the Blackbird case.
yes,
Remember that?
It was
They
a
had-
wonderful
they had
case.
An awesome
You
case.
stood on it.
I
you
stood on it,
did stand.
and
Cast aluminum
you
base.
couldn't buy it individually. So yeah, Ken's gonna play back the video here locally so that Alan can see
no,
it.
I'm not. It's gonna stop.
It's gonna catch up.
Oh no.
So, but the reason, the one thing for the consumer is that it's pretty complicated to rotate around. Like there's a lot of rails and pieces that you have to move.
So
it's entirely flexible, but
so the board.
Yeah, watch. There it goes. So now it's upside down.
So where you mount the motherboard, that not only can flip around, but it flips around and goes to the opposite end of the case.
Correct.
Yeah, you have to actually move the rails that the motherboard slides in and out of and reattach
Yeah,
them.
and here's the base.
It's
Right?
a really well done video.
It is a really well done video.
And that base with 12 hard drives in it, that's...
Yeah, see, look at all those hard drives that flew out of there.
That's something.
And look, now you can put in water blocks, or you can put in one water block, and no, you can't.
No.
You could put in a 240, I think, down there, and
Maybe.
still put
No.
one of the hard drive racks.
No.
It's like a much better pulled off stack kind of case thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. And there are a lot of people that will see this, like Alan did, and go, "Wow, I really want that, but I can't buy it because,
Yeah.
they don't want to." Some people just don't buy those. Now you can do it, and if you're really, really in love with that case and you're going to build a new system, it's probably worth going to their site, speccing out a system, and seeing how much of a markup it might actually be. You might be surprised.
It's Origin.
Yeah,
It's going to have some markup.
It's a markup.
it's going to have markup. I know, but I said how much.
No. Well,
Right, and you like I think they said it starts at 900. Like you can buy a system with this case for 900.
That's an expensive case.
It's an expensive case,
But Alan bought a $700 case at some point.
That's true.
and it didn't have any components.
Yeah,
in
you could
it.
sell the components.
That's true.
What an idiot!
It was a water cooling case. I had the water
So
cooling
this
integrated.
one.
This is a water
Oh,
cooling case.
well, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't have the
that.
water cooling integrated.
Nope.
You will if you buy it.
It won't be $900 then.
I don't think they'll
It
ship
won't be
it water cooled.
$900. So that was actually really neat. It was a cool little thing. They're very proud of. It's not like some other case vendor that has built this for them. They did all the design. They did all the engineering. They did all the manufacturing. Like it's coming straight to them in that fashion. So I guess that's the last like actual specific item on the list.
We
of
saw
stickers.
ADATA.
Oh yeah, we did.
I saw ADATA. ADATA had their equivalent of the Kingston PCI Express SSD.
All
They just
right,
had their own.
PCI SSD.
So
Okay, I'm in.
SandForce 3700, but that means that just like Kingston, ADATA will have to wait until the controller is actually released. Follow my
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
my thinking there. Yep.
God, hurry up, LSI.
Yeah, LSI, hurry up, and light a fire under SandForce's butt, and get them to make that thing quicker. And then they had, they're kind of venturing into other little things, but ADAT has always kind of been like a little mini jack of all trades kind of company. So they make SD cards and thumb drives, and
Right.
they actually made another version of that micro USB drive that you have.
Great.
And I'll put a picture up in a piece on this, but it actually I thought was done better than the other two.
The other two.
Because it looked exactly the same as the one you have from the outward appearance, right?
I'm with you.
If you took the cap off the micro USB side and you plug that into your phone, still looks exactly the same. Okay, so far. But when you go to plug it in on regular USB, it has what looks like a cap over the USB. But when you go to pull it out, that's actually the USB drive itself that stores the data. Those really, really tiny USB
tiny.
drives that is barely enough to even pull out of the port. That's what's integrated into that combination like 2-in-1 thing. So the center body of it is actually the converter to go from USB standard to the micro USB. And the other cool thing is then once you own that, you can plug whatever drive you want into. You don't have to have the cable.
Gotcha.
You can just use that little thing and just plug a 128 gig external USB drive if you wanted to.
Right. Right.
Be kind of dangerous to snap the port of your phone off, but it's possible.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the big stuff.
Okay. So that rounds out all of our official meetings. Does anybody have
Hibernation to do?
No, you have work to do and stuff.
Oh yeah,
You can sleep when you get home,
when I'm
You
dead.
can sleep when you're dead.
or
Yes.
or on the plane. What time's your flight tomorrow? So what is your takeaway from the show?
Well, I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoy it every year. It's interesting to see some new things and talk to some folks. But, we started off with a lot of the tech day from AMD and stuff that, we can't talk about yet. But it was a lot of stuff that we'd already found out from, the microprocessor forum.
Right.
and previous releases, and well, we know about the GCN architecture and talking about HSA and HQ and Huma and all this stuff. So I didn't see anything really new this year that really, I guess what I did come away with is it was the first time I got to see up close 4K panels and G-Sync. And those were both really, I guess, those are the nice things that I got to see, and especially now that we're getting into inexpensive 4K panels.
Yeah.
You know, $800.
Yep.
Dell apparently has one that they're going to do for $679 or something like that. Anyway,
Stop screwing up my computer.
but yeah,
Yeah.
and I really wish that they could do the even just the 60 hertz G-Sync IPS monitor. That looked really
Which
nice.
one? The 4K?
Well, no, it was the yeah. I guess it was the 4K one at the
When we
NVIDIA
saw
booth.
the yeah.
That they had modded it themselves.
Alan, what do you think? What was your kind of takeaway from the show?
Even though I had seen G-Sync, I shared Josh's sentiment on the 4K.
Yeah.
Seeing that up close is, yeah, it kind of makes me wonder just how good the DPI scaling stuff is going to be in Windows when you try to, practically use that at
Right.
readable sizes of stuff. Because actually, this laptop sort of threw me into the DPI scaling mode on Windows 8.1 for some stuff because
Right.
it saw the screen was kind of like higher DPI than normal. So it tried to do that on me, and every window that opened up that way, it was immediately noticeable. It was blurry. So I'm kind of worried how 4K is gonna, work with that. Anyway, between that and I guess the PCI Express stuff, hoping that catches on for solid state.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen PCI SSDs though. Is it just
We have, but they've all
you want
been.
to see the M2 form factor? Or do you want to see something else?
No, I want to see native.
Yeah.
I don't want to see, I don't want to
through
see
SATA
8.
controllers.
Yeah, I don't want to see 8 SATA controllers behind a RAID that doesn't pass trim, and
enough.
that kind
poor
of thing.
photo fast.
Yeah, sorry, that kind of thing.
All right.
And the native stuff is just going to be much faster overall. It's just going to scale higher. And
What about you, Alan?
yeah, Alan.
Yeah, Alan.
Come on, Alan. What about you? PCI SSDs? Who cares?
Yeah,
Something else? No, I'm looking at you.
no, that's about it.
Oh. Okay, Ken. Why you're very tentative with that dial.
Yeah, because the wireless mics is throwing interference in.
Oh, okay. But we can turn those off because they're done talking. I was just kidding.
How was your show, Ryan?
It was great. What'd you like?
Not being sick anymore.
Okay, yeah, I can understand that.
That Corsair case was cool. This 760T, 670T.
The 670T, yeah, it was nice.
I like that one. I might move to that one. I'm looking for a new case.
I guess I hate to be the same thing, but I think the display discussion was still by far the best. If we take into account G-Sync, 4K, low-cost 4K, and AMD FreeSync crap, whatever they're, the discussion we had about DisplayPort 1.3 and that demo they had, that's all really cool. And it's the first time I can really remember competitive displays, like, you know what I mean, like something where people are fighting to be the better display. For $800, do you get a 2560 by 1440 G-Sync panel at 120 hertz, or do you get a 60 hertz 28-inch 4K panel, right? And that's a pretty cool debate to have, I think, right? So
Yeah, it's nice to see displays finally moving forward, because for a long time, we were stuck with CRT, and then everything became flat panel, and then everybody just kind of said, "Hey, 1080p is nice," and we've just had 1080p monitors for, they've reached nice price points, obviously,
right.
but they haven't changed a whole lot. I mean, sure, we got LED backlit, and we had IPS, EPS, MVA. And inexpensive TN stuff, but now we're getting to see the 4K stuff, G-Sync, and hopefully DisplayPort 1.3 comes out sooner as opposed to later,
Right.
so that everybody can enjoy the potential bounty of smoothness that G-Sync provides right now.
Yeah, yeah. I hope it catches on. And you know, I supported NVIDIA in their release of the G-Sync tech, but of course I do wish that every monitor supported it with every graphics card. All right, as a gamer and somebody who covers it, I want everybody to be able to see it. And you know, NVIDIA obviously wants it to be kind of an exclusive technology for them for as long a period of time so they can get people into the GeForce ecosystem and so they can see other benefits with it. AMD says, well, we don't want them to be in that ecosystem because then they might like it and stay there. And that's a fair assessment as well. So I think it'll be interesting to see over the next couple of months what happens, right? So now, not really recently have I ever been like following the ratification process of a standard and implementation of that for displays very quickly. Now I will with DisplayPort 1.3.
Yeah, and then hopefully they will pick that up on the monitor side a lot faster than they picked up DisplayPort, because still the vast majority of monitors at pretty much every price point are DVI based, and only at the higher end do we see DisplayPort units. And yeah.
What's kind of weird is that usually DisplayPort is like in addition to like DVI and everything else.
Yeah.
And then when you shift over to the G-Sync thing, now it's going to be
primary
only DisplayPort,
or only, yeah.
and you're probably not going to get anything else.
I think you'll be able to have. You'll be able to have that
Eventually.
once it's part of the standard.
But it's it's flipping the other way, and now the add-ons will be DVI will be like an add-on.
Correct.
The thing you hardly use because
Correct.
you want G-Sync to work and you want to that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's interesting stuff. I guess that's going to wrap it up for us then, guys. We are going to continue to post some stories throughout the evening and into the next couple of days, probably, as we catch up on all the things that we saw. And if you want to see all of our CES coverage, which you obviously do, it's at pcper.com/CES. And if you joined us live, thank you for doing so. We know that the video bandwidth wasn't fantastic, but we'll have the video posted on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/pcper later tonight. And obviously you can go to pcper.com/podcast to see the video or download the MP3 files and stuff. So keep checking back on the site for news. Otherwise, we will be back. We'll all be back home except for Ken.
7 days. Well, it will be the next podcast.
Yeah, we'll do another podcast on Wednesday night, and we will do that at 10 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Pacific time, which is our normally scheduled
8 p.m. Mountain.
podcast time. Nobody lives in
Mountain's the only time.
Nobody lives there.
Yeah, they do.
No. So yeah, again, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining in the chat, and we will see you guys very soon. Actually, we may not see you, but you'll see us.
Yeah.
And listen to us and stuff. So thanks, guys.
Have a good night.
Bye.